Hi, I'm Jessie Steigerwald, and I'm here with LexSeeHer. We're excited to be back at the Tourism Committee and hope to earn your vote in support of our proposal to bring a new monument to Lexington designed by Meredith Bergman. We represent more than 450 founding contributors, 12 steering committee members, 17 advisory board members, and many people who have contributed over the past 2 years in a conversation across our community about how we can represent women's contributions in Lexington. More than 13 organizations that have signed on in support of our work and would like to see the monument that we proposed, designed by Meredith Bergman, in the site that we have proposed on the Visitor Center lawn. ABCL, the Chamber of Commerce, CAL, the DAR chapter, IAL, COLEX, the Arts and Crafts Society, Field and Garden Club, Lex Pride, Lex Tennis, Miriam Hill Association, New England Sculptors Association, Pilgrim Church Council, and Lexington Historical Society. We have support from multiple other committees, including the Center Committee, the Design Advisory Committee, the Historic Districts Commission. Why are so many individuals and organizations excited about this new monument? We hope you've received letters, one from Ann Lee, Lexington resident and art historian. There's so many benefits, she writes, to the placement, logistically, aesthetically, and historically. Site 15 allows access to all and creates a positive community gathering space, permits viewing and interaction from all angles, and relates not only to Captain Parker's statue, but also the many areas of Lexington, such as Anna Harrington's house, site of the spinning protest where women made their mark. The monument serves as a window onto all aspects of Lexington's past, both literally and figuratively, and of course, it is crafted by a woman sculptor who is greatly respected and known internationally. Meredith was able to visit with you in November. You were able to see some of her very prominent works from across the country, and this is a message from Ms. Bergman.
Hello, Lexington Tourism Committee. I can't be at today's meeting, so I'm recording this message for you about my experience with public monuments to the achievements and contributions of women. This memorial in Boston has seen speeches, private and public celebrations. There's a concert planned on the site for the 20th anniversary of the unveiling. These monuments, in my experience, go right to work in their communities. People engage with them in unexpected ways. The first autumn, someone put a sweater on Lucy Stone, and Phyllis Wheatley often gets a flower in her quill hand. Her statue appears on book covers and is featured on a poster at Logan Airport. On Election Day 2016, when a woman was running for president, people left their "I voted" stickers on the Boston Women's Memorial. And then the next day, some people left tearful notes for Lucy Stone, promising to elect a woman next time. The Women's Rights Pioneers Monument in Central Park in New York City is less than 2 years old, but already people have adopted it as the site for political announcements, a spontaneous memorial to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and thousands of selfies and photos. These monuments appear in tourism guides, on Google Maps, on TripAdvisor, and in lists of the 20 things to do when you're in the area. In Lexington, because there will be so many women's stories to think about in this monument, people will spend longer looking at it than if it were a statue. They will photograph it themselves and each other. Women and girls who have come to Lexington to study the Revolutionary War will find that women participated fully in the history of our country. They will, I'm quite sure, linger, think about it, and buy guides and souvenirs at the Visitor Center. It is always a big decision to erect a monument in a public space, but in my experience, it is a win for tourism. Thank you.
There are lots of other strong reasons to vote in support of our proposal. People who visited before will want to return to Lexington. There's more than 20 important women whose stories are told. It's a unique monument with a more inclusive view of our history. As Michelle Jenny shared with you in the November materials we provided, often it's women who make the decision about what locations they would like to see when they are traveling. And of course, as they visit, it increases our meals tax. And of course, businesses who have been also in support of the monument will be able to find ways to tap into the themes. In addition to tourism, there's a real thirst for works that tell the untold stories of women's roles and contributions in America, and for more ways to express our diversity as a community. What are the concerns that we've heard over this 2-year span? We've only heard from less than 5 people with direct opposition about this proposal or an aspect of it. One is the not here argument, people who would prefer to see a monument at the Stone Building or somewhere else. And that's not something that we support. So today's vote is about whether you support this monument, which was designed to be at this site. Right now, we want to address the gap and the absence of women where all of the other monuments are gathered in this very important place near what was the town common. The second concern we've heard is this doesn't work with the Battle Green master plan. We've been told, oh, it's right in the middle of the Battle Green. It's not. Here's the Battle Green. Over here is the monument site. It's in the Battle Green master plan area, but not on the Battle Green itself. Second, we've heard that people say, oh, it blocks the view from the visitor center to Captain Parker, the Minuteman. It does not do that. Here's one view, here's another, and here's Captain Parker. This newly planted tree arguably does block the view, but the monument is a respectful, thoughtful distance from that sight line. Those were made very clear in the Battle Green master plan, which we have studied carefully. I'm sure you all have as well. And we have not blocked the focal point. The plan itself calls for and invites additions to this space. In fact, in the recommendations under action items, it talks about establishing new views or new focal points. The plan itself was meant to be a guide for the next 5 to 10 years. It was adopted in 2011, and now it's a little past 10 years later, and a lot of things have changed in that time. At the time it was made, the plan did not acknowledge women or girls as part of Lexington's history. It didn't even use the words woman, women, girl, or girls. There was really no discussion about women who were witnesses to the battle, women who helped take care of the men, getting them ready for the battle, tended the wounded. The only Black person referred to is around Prince Estabrook, but there's no discussion of any Black women. The language we've used in town since 2011 has changed. We now say select board members instead of select men. We have a diversity, equity, inclusion officer. The schools have staff that focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And in town meeting, a special resolution was passed to ask all government groups to please take inclusivity into account. A decision today to not support the monument would purposefully exclude women. That is not what the Battle Green Master Plan intended. If there had been a plan on purpose to exclude women, then women would have been discussed. Instead, women were just not even considered. What we've seen, as we showed, is that the monument has brought groups that don't usually collaborate together in unity, saying it's time to recognize women's contributions in this visible location. We reached out to Lucinda Brockway from Past Designs, who wrote the Battle Green Master Plans. She sent the following letter. So we've highlighted some portions here for you to look at. She calls the monument creative, compelling, and invites retrospection and inspiration on the role individuals can play affecting change. She goes on to say that the master plan was created to guide the care of its existing landscape and not to prevent further memorializations. And then she goes on to say the siting of the women's monument is something that she thinks fits with the Battle Green Master Plan. She notes the new monument celebrates a call to action from a very different and very powerful viewpoint. It conveys the call to action from the perspective of women over time and the powerful role they played and continue to play in nonviolent social and political change. She thinks it's highly fitting that this monument be located near the visitor center in the bicycle path and pedestrian way. She says, I think this new monument allows for continued commemoration and reflection of what a call to action really means. She notes its siting does not interfere with the key views and vistas to and from the Battle Green, nor does it interfere with the sacred core of the Battle Green used for April reenactments and visited by thousands of tourists each year. She goes on to say, the monument, if accepted and installed, is another example of these rights and the deeply embedded significance of the Battle Green itself. Instead of interfering with its national significance, it furthers that dialogue into our 21st multicultural century. The other concerns we heard were just that, some women had nothing to do with the battle. And Margaret Tulip, she lived here for 75 years. She had children here, was married here, and won a freedom suit. And she stands back to back with Anna Harrington. Meredith's design takes the spinning match into a beautiful three-dimensional storytelling opportunity for tourists and visitors and residents alike. All of these women have important stories to tell about the ways community members contribute. And each of them, shown on this map, either lived here, protested here, worked here, were enslaved here, studied here, raised children here, went to church here, died and were buried here. How we packed a lot into this compact 615 square foot area within an 8,000 square foot triangle of otherwise open grassy lawn, and some of the modern women who've carried on this call to action that Cindy Brockway spoke about in her letter that is definitely in fitting with the Battle Gray Master Plan. We can answer any questions, and we hope to earn your vote and support. This is a new way to make history in Lexington and to also make herstory visible. And thank you for your time.